So I said I should make a series about because I see a lot of us the way we really get recognized is, and I pulled a card where Lucy said laughter is the best medicine, right? So today I had to go get a mammogram, and like it's routine for me, but I'm past due for it due to the fact that I did the appointments that I had made. I had already set for this year from last year. Like when you have it, they schedule you for the next one, or they're like, well, once you get your results, then they schedule the however. But anyway, appointments already set. But when I went back to school, which is part of the series, like going back to school, being older, um, the pros and cons to it, because when you go back to school after you have raised a family and stuff, you have different determination, different willpower, different approaches to it. And so, I canceled my appointments and I rescheduled them for after school was over. I finally finished my last final last week. And when I say I have a deep newfound respect for those that really care in the medical field. The ones that don't care, I don't respect them at all, and I don't want to fuck with them, guys. But I had to go for the mammogram today, and I just recently found out that my great grandmother passed away from breast cancer, and it was before I was born, so I never got a chance to meet her. And they kind of knew it, but it was never talked about. And so back then I could see that. But then I'm like, but here in 2025, that's something we're not gonna do. Like, we're not gonna not talk about it. Like, why not? Everybody talking about everything else. And endometriosis was endometriosis awareness month was in March, and I didn't do my normal because my head was down. I was doing work. But I was learning about endometriosis in my anatomy class, because anatomy is so complex. I keep saying how complex the body is, and I'm just in anatomy 1, so I've just learned like the bare minimum, the basics, but I'm able to key it together with the rest of the research that I've already been doing on my own. And so they had this picture up in the office, the facility where they do the mammograms, and they had lemons, and it showed like the different ways the lemon looked, And I remember that's how my aunt describes my great grandmother's breast, as looking at like one of those lemons that was infected. I was like, so we just not gonna say nothing. And depending on the relationship of the family, it's very normal to undress in front of your grandkids, your kids, daughters, your granddaughters, and stuff like that. That's normal, and it's supposed to be comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, I seen somebody say that they were glad they had a naked mom, and I was like, what does that mean? But it means where the mom is comfortable in her body, and so she makes the kids comfortable, and so we're able to be in our raw, natural, the way we came in the world. And so if there was an issue, that we were able to say, mom, grandma, like, that it wasn't looking like that last time we was, at the pool finna get in the party. I mean, at the party about the, some people take vacation. Like, I don't know how you would be able to do it, but if you are a mom, the kids don't give you any privacy anyway. So not only do they know what your insides look like, but they know what your outsides look like, because they constantly wherever you are at. I remember the youngest one, I needed to take a shower so bad, and I was like, I don't care what you do, you're not gonna stop me from taking my shower. So I pulled the bassinet in. She was just a couple of months old. She's supposed to be doing nothing, right? Maybe she was about, she was little. I have the picture. When it came, the memory came back around, I was like, God damn, I couldn't even get a shower in peace. She was an infant. She was supposed to be doing it. She was trying to climb out the shower. Climb out the bouncer to the shower where I was at. And I'm watching her because she was like arm's length away. I just needed something to hold her, and she wouldn't go to sleep. And I needed to take a shower. So they don't give you any privacy. I've seen them walk past the dad sitting on the couch into the bedroom, through the whole bedroom to the bathroom where I was at, just to ask me a question that they could have asked him. Well, it was waitable, you know. So sitting there, you know, they what I didn't know that it was a fear of it. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but it is the best thing in the world to do, because having a mammogram and getting the screening could increase your chances of survival. So I would recommend that not only do you get mammograms yearly, but you also do self-checks at any given time, before your cycle, after your cycle, during your cycle. Know what your breasts feel like, because that's important too. And that's something that I don't think they tell you, but I was looking at something where I was like, the most important thing to me is the man that loves you knowing your body just as well as you know your own. Not that creepy shit. Like the creepy shit, I don't like that creepy shit. Like, you on your period, huh? Like, from somebody that ain't your man. You know what I'm saying? And I thought it was only weird to me until I read a Facebook post, and I was like, that's weird as fuck. And I asked around, and it's weird. If y'all are not sharing the same last name, then he shouldn't really be keeping up with your cycle, I don't think. But the man that loves you, that's different. The man that, you know, gave you his last name, that man knowing that's even better. Like, oh my God. So that's off the subject, but it's not really. But I've had friends that said they didn't get mammograms, and I do know that that's a thing amongst us, because a lot of times we don't see people that look like us advocating for mammograms because they're not doing the mammograms. So I'm back in school for radiology, ultrasound, mammogram, CT, whichever modality, which ultrasound was going to be the one that I was going to choose. It still is the one that I'm going to choose, but mammogram is close. I had a friend that did mammograms. I mean, Dee Dee was the most special person you ever want to meet. Like, lovable, everybody loved her. Like, when I first met her, I was like, you ain't even really from here. You're too nice to be from here. You gotta be from outer space somewhere. Like, where you from? And she passed away. And I'll never forget the year that I was supposed to get my mammogram. I didn't go to the place where she worked, so I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. That is something that I regret, you know, because if I had went to that facility, she would have saw my name, she would have heard them call my name, she would have come to speak. We either see each other when I'm getting my mammogram, so I'm always in the grocery store. We seem to run into each other at the grocery store every time, which is not uncommon in the South, especially in the neighborhoods that you live in. Your closest store, that's when you go in every week. Like, even when I stayed in Georgia, I would pass, it would be a Publix and something else, and I went to the Kroger. The Publix was, I think it was 2 Publix that were closer to me, but I skipped over those Publix and would go to the Kroger. I like the Kroger better. Here, Publix is, you know, what we use because we don't have Kroger. And I grew up off of Kroger too. I also grew up off of Food City, which used to be, what the name of it was? Bi-Lo, and then before that it was the Red Food Store. And when my grandmother was alive, it was the Red Food Store, and she used to want somebody to run her to the Red Store. I used to love to hear her say it. But I lost that grandmother to lung cancer, which was probably something else that they didn't really talk about then at the time either. But at the age that I was when my grandma passed, I was a teen, and the only question I was like I never seen her smoke. How did she get lung cancer? They say smokers, and this was in 1995, so it wasn't a lot of research put into cancer in 95, and there was definitely not enough Henrietta Lacks to go around to test on all races, because contrary to popular belief, we do have the same genetic makeup, all races do, but there's got to be something different. And I know it's the melanin. I learned that because I learned the layers of the skin, baby, and that was the last test I got, so I know I remember that part, because that's what helped me get out the class. So there's a difference, you know, in race, and I learned even more of that being in this class. But I did, my grandmother suffered with cancer, and she buried her mother from breast cancer, which it wasn't, they debate, it wasn't the breast cancer that did it, it was the fluid that filled up in her lungs. So to me, there's 2 generations of lung issues. So my thing to me is like, I don't want to smoke and I don't want to drink, but that's personal, only because I'm a researcher, so I've done research on those things. I've never liked cigarettes, and even the kids, they always make fun of us when they say raised and born in the 80s, crack babies. They always look at us and be like, you a crack baby, and I'm like, well, I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I don't fit crack baby criteria. She didn't smoke that. She smoked cigarettes, which at that time, baby, I don't even think she had a brand. But I don't think it, I mean, it was just cigarette. You know what I'm saying? It was nicotine. For me, has always been a no. I tried to do it with the hookah, and then I was like, no, it's still nicotine. As a matter of fact, my lung doctor told me it was worse than just the nicotine and the tobacco and all that stuff. So I did fall in love with hookah though, so I did have to break myself from that, and it's still a process too. But because it's a vape, and vape's just been around, so we just now learning the effects of vapes and how it affects different people's body too, because nobody's body is the same. The body's so complex. Like, that's one of the crazy things about it. But testing, I hear somebody on the side, so I'm gonna be running the house in a minute, but that'll be a perfect time to end this video, because I know y'all got this, how long you want to sit? A few minutes. But anyway, while I was at the mammogram thingy, I think that's the air conditioning thing. What you call it? The little thing on the side. You gotta have one of them to have the air conditioning and heater. I can't think of the name. If it ain't anatomy, I don't remember nothing but anatomy and physiology at the moment. But they have snacks in there sometimes. The waiting is the worst part about it, because you're waiting and you don't get results that same day, because the radiologist is not allowed or certified or qualified to give you the results of anything that they see, and although they see it all the time and they know what they're looking at, but it's still, I get it. And I'm asking her, how was the program that she went through? Like, I'm interviewing her basically, because I'm going to make this uncomfortable situation as comfortable for myself as I can. The only way to do it is I'm gonna ask questions, like, because I feel like I didn't realize this. I honestly didn't realize this until I started researching it to go back to school. That there's only like 4% African Americans even doing radiology. And so I look back and I was like, damn, Dee Dee's the only one I seen, so she would be my 4%. And mind you, if I go every year, she's the only, and you could tell her out of everybody, like, you know. So there needs to be more of us in the program. But after going through this program, I can understand why it's not as many of us. The class is not easy. The program is competitive. It requires a lot. We dealing with a lot. Somebody even told me that the stop rate at this particular school that I'm attending, African American female, is the highest. We started out with 6 black women in the class of 24 women all together. Some of them my kids' age. Like, I was like, I will whoop y'all ass in here with a belt because I felt like they were kids to me. It was 6 African American females in the class. 3 of us finished the class, and I think only 2 of us passed the class. I don't even know. And I passed with a C, which I am gonna take with, like, because I worked my ass off. And even though I felt cheated, I didn't complain. Like, there's a lot of stuff that happened in the class that I should have spoke up more about, should have said something about, but I was like, well, I rock the boat. I'm gonna take this seat and get the hell on. You know what I'm saying? But the complaints that I had was not just my complaints, it was complaints that everybody else had. But all I needed was a C, and I'll take that. I mean, I probably earned a B, but I see why a lot of us don't finish the program. And then even once you finish the prerequisites, it's hard to get in a competitive program. It's a small program. Like, it's a lot of shit that go with it. But maybe if we seen more people back when my great-grandmother, Maddie, was going through it, maybe she would have been more comfortable getting the testing done. Maybe they would have been more comfortable talking about it. Maybe she wouldn't have felt like a burden to her only daughter and grandkids if she told them what she was going through. Like, it's so many things that I think about this one lady that I never met. I've only seen a few pictures of her. I've heard stories about her. But to think that if, maybe she had this one test, that maybe she would have turned 100 the year I had my oldest. Because I've seen these generations, or that maybe my grandmother would have got the necessary treatment for her lung disease, and she would have got to see me graduate, or she would have gotten to see her great-granddaughter graduate twice in one weekend from a college and from a high school at the same time. Or maybe, she would have been around for one of us to actually cure the thing that we were told was uncurable. I was telling the story about Henrietta Lacks, and this is a long story into Henrietta Lacks, but if you don't know who Henrietta Lacks is, might I suggest you do a little Google search and find out who Henrietta Lacks is and what she contributed to the world. And she's black, just a FYI, But the older we get, you get it to be 40, you have those tests and those preventative things that you need to help save your life. And mammograms are mobile. I remember at Dee Dee's homegoing celebration, I remember that day so vividly and being so mad at myself. And she sent me a rainbow. It was a rainbow on a cloudy day. And I was like, I got it. I got your message. Like, and it was, I felt like the rainbow was connected from the church where they had her service, which is where we met at, connected to the Food City where we always used to promise to get lunch at. And I remember hearing one of my close guy friends' mom said, whenever I got my mammogram, I always asked for Dee Dee. And if there had been a Dee Dee when my great grandmother was going through this, maybe I would have got to it. I know it sounds crazy, but I think about the things that I do now so that I can meet my great grandkids. That's important to me. Legacy. I'm watching Beyonce fulfill her ancestors' wildest dreams. Like they said, the hair care line is the great grandmothers, the whiskey is the grandfathers and the great grandfathers. Mama knows writing books, and she's talking about how Solange's name came to be when she was in Paris and got a name book, but it's also a relative. Blue Ivy is working like a real employee. Like Beyonce, she ain't got to no slack, but that's her baby still the same. And so that's like, I watch my kids, like they've all had their own little entrepreneurial paths and things like that. And I'm watching them blossom into their own little people, because not only did the middle one graduate from high school and college, the youngest one is going to middle school. And I'm like, damn, I feel like I just had that one, you know. And here I am going back to school, learning something else. But the crazy part about it is, if the program that my middle daughter just went through to get her associates along with her high school diploma, if they had had that program just mere years ago when I was in high school, I would be already in the radiology. I'll be able to apply for the radiology tech program. I would have to take these prerequisites, or I would already be ready for the medical lab technician. Like, I wouldn't have to take all these because the whole time the guy was in teaching our anatomy class, he was like, you guys just got out of physics, you just got out of chemistry. And I'm looking at him like, who did? These little girls in here? He just graduated high school 5 or 6 months ago. That shit freshman now. I don't remember chemistry. And now I have to take a whole chemistry and microbiology class. And I can't wait. I'm excited. Because although Maddie and Marion weren't able, well, they won their battle, not on this side. They may have very well given birth to someone that would cure what they could not. The wasp about to run me in the house. I play with anything else on this porch but the wasp. I'm allergic. They don't respect my space. So I got me a little bit of sun till the sun moved away. Got me a little vitamin D, which is another thing that they don't tell us that we need to get. Because of the melanin, we tend to use up more vitamin D. It's crazy. And probably more iron and magnesium and some other stuff that I just barely touched the surface with. But I am going to dig deeper because of so many hereditary things. But then there's so many different things being created. Then they're also putting shit in the food, in the air, in the water. And everything that's good for one body isn't good for, like, It's a lot, but this is part one. I survived my first semester of going back to school with also managing and trying to balance. I didn't balance some motherfucking thing. I tell you, I did balance. I dropped a lot of balls, but my kids never suffered. They were never one of the balls that got dropped. It may have been some self-care. It may have been some self-love. It may have been some alone time. It may have been some dating. I did not have a single date while I was in school, so I did sacrifice a lot while I was in school. But I've taken the summer off because it is not really necessary that I wear myself out. My sister's calling and I need to holler at her.